Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Really excited to be live with you here today. Today we're going to do a video on fiber. Is it good for you? Yes or no? Before we dive in, please put your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on fiber. Do you feel good with it? Yes or no? Really curious. And make sure you give me a like. Really appreciate it as well. Thumbs up. All right, so fiber, right? We have different soluble and insoluble fiber, right? Soluble is it's essentially is what it is. It's going to dissolve in water, become more liquefied. Where insoluble is a lot more firmer, right? Think of psyllium husk and harder, more fibrous, dense foods. Beneficial, right? I mean, there's some good things to fiber. It can help bind up a lot of toxins. It's usually going to be in a lot of vegetables and a lot of plant matter that are going to have some nutrient density. It's also going to be in foods that maybe contain a lot of anti-nutrients. There's a lot of FODMAPs that are usually a part of fiber as well. So it's a double-edged sword. There's some good research on fiber being beneficial, adding both to your stool, helping to bind up various toxins, right? Apple pectin, citrus pectin, carrot root, right? These are good, healthy fibers that can be beneficial. But then you also have one side of the camp that's also has maybe a despotic bacterial imbalance or SIBO, and these fibers may feed a lot of these types of bacteria that are bad, despotic, that they over-secrete methane and hydrogen gas that disrupt motility, either cause constipation on one side or diarrhea on the other. And we also have a whole group of people on the carnivore camp that do really great on meat. And so what gives? And so I look at it as we want to be eating nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory, low-toxin food. We want foods that, have ideally lower levels of anti-nutrients, right? These are things like lectins and phytates and mineral blockers and proteolytic enzyme blockers. We want things that are lower in that. So your typical cruciferous vegetables tend to do pretty decent. Ideally cooked or steamed, because there's still some level of goitrogens and anti-nutrients in those. You can deactivate a lot of your vegetables by cooking and steaming them, right? That can help deactivate a lot of the various fibers, and a lot of the anti-nutrients are going to be a part of the fibers typically. That's why I think when you juice a little bit, you can pull some of those things out, because you're stripping away a lot of that fiber. But a lot of the fibers and such are going to contain a lot of the anti-nutrients, and you can break a lot of those down when you cook, not always. And of course, certain foods are going to have more of these anti-nutrients. Grains, of course, lentils, legumes, they're going to have a lot more of these compounds that are going to be more irritating. Cooking can tend to help a lot of those things. And then we can also choose fibers that are lower in fermentable carbohydrates. These are FODMAPs: fructo, oligo, disaccharide, mono, and polyols. These are going to be like some of the carbohydrate fibers that are going to be, let's just say, more breeding ground for some of the despotic bacteria. And so there's one side of the fence, the people that do really well with these kind of foods. I think that's great. And some of these foods can actually feed some of the beneficial bacteria in the gut, whether it's some of the fiber in avocados, or whether it's some of the fiber in sweet potatoes, right? Or some of the fibers in our good, healthy, non-starchy vegetables. But other people may have gut issues and gut bacterial imbalances where those foods have to be paused for a little bit. So my theory is, number one, can you tolerate some of these really healthy, non-starchy, maybe safe starch vegetables? Keeping the grains, keeping the higher anti-nutrient foods out. Can you tolerate them? Do you feel good? Does it affect your motility? Does it give you gas? Does it make you bloat? If you can tolerate them, great, add them back in the mix. If you can't tolerate them, what does that mean? We probably have to do more cleaning. We probably have to work through the 6 R's, right? Removing the bad foods, replacing the enzymes, repairing the gut lining, removing the despotic bacteria. And it could be despotic bacteria, it could be H. pylori, it could be parasitic infections, fungal overgrowth. It could be a bunch of other things. So we may have to pause it, because when we knock down microbes in the gut, we do it 3 ways. We starve it out on one side, and part of starving it out is restricting some of those fiber-rich foods. Okay, that's one. And we may also, focus on a paleo template and cut out certain autoimmune foods as well, right? 2, we're going to kill it. We're going to use antimicrobial botanical medicines to help knock down some of the microbes, get them down a bit. And then 3, we're going to use good, healthy probiotics and fermented rich foods that technically are higher in FODMAPs, right? But because we're coming in after we've knocked down a lot of the microbes, the body's going to be more receptive of those foods. And then typically we'll throw in some foods that are going to be some fiber-rich foods, whether it's cooled potato starch, right? That's a nice resistant starch. But green banana flour is a nice resistant starch. Or we can do inulin or chicory root is excellent. You can do some cassava as well and kind of feed some of that gut microbiome. If you can handle some of those really good healthy fibers, great. If we can't, then we just try to do what we can do, and we want to starve it out on one side, We want to kill it in the middle and then try to repopulate, reinoculate. Think of seeds and fertilizer. Seeds being probiotics, fertilizer being the prebiotic fibers, the fructooligosaccharides, right? And again, probiotics aren't forever, right? They're going to last. They're going to hang out for 3-4 weeks. Some of the spore-based probiotics may be a bit longer. And of course, we're trying to get fermented foods in our diet more frequently, whether it's low sugar kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. If we can't, then you may have to rely on probiotics in a supplement form more frequently, but ideally try to get some in your diet naturally so you don't have to rely on supplements all the time for probiotics. So I hope that helps. Fiber is a double-edged sword if you can tolerate it and it's healthy plant-based, non-starchy, great. Try to stay away from the grains. Try to stay away from the lentils. They shouldn't be staples, okay? And try to focus on the healthy, non-starchy, safe starch, plant-based ones. Safe starch mean grain-free. And if we can tolerate it, add some in. If you can't, that's where you're doing a lower FODMAP, paleo, or even an extreme, more carnivore diet can be helpful. While we starve out on one side, kill in the middle, repopulate, reinoculate, crowd out on the backside. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope it makes sense. And these are things that I incorporate with patients clinically, so it's not theory. I see it work. And the hardest part theoretically is you see people that have problems on both. So you have like the carnivore camp. This is what you have to do. You have the plant-based camp. And I'm here to tell you, I've seen it on both sides. And so you just have to know that different people can respond differently and not go about it dogmatically. Be more about the results and utilizing the right tool versus having to use that tool and jam it down and use that screwdriver, the wrong way. You pull, you have a nail, you use a hammer, right? If you have a screw, you use a screwdriver. So you want to use the tool for the right job. So I hope that helps. Have that attitude and you'll be in good shape. Again, if you want to reach out to myself or my colleagues, link down below. You guys can reach out and thumbs up and comments below. Really appreciate it. All right, guys, take care, y'all. Bye now.